Well, this episode, I think it's going to be the last episode we do this year, at least that I know of. We'll see if it's not, and we come across one that is scheduled that I don't show up for. I didn't know about it, so that I hope this is it. So I thought we would do the classic thing in a format that I think will be more palatable for us to do it, and that is we'll do not only some predictions for next year, and just in case you're listening to this in the future, 2023 next year. I'll let the listener do an exercise to figure out what year this is, and not only that, like I have to do these prediction thing. I am asked to participate in prediction stuff frequently, but I thought what we could also do is our hopes and dreams, because a prediction is sort of like, what the real prediction for next year always is probably pretty much the same thing that happened last year. That's the kind of I've tried to get away with that over the years sometimes, and people don't like that. But it is fun to say what your hopes and dreams are. So I thought we would come to that. And so we have, of course, the three of us are here, Kote, Ed, and Ben. And I thought I would invite our friend, ChatGPT, to also give some of its predictions. So I've asked it. We'll do it last, since it's not human and it can't be insulted. But the prompt that I had for it is, can you write a 2023 predictions piece? It should be predictions for CIOs at large organizations, paying attention to what's happening with cloud, low-code, and security. So we'll get to what ChatGPT thought for a while. I fed it a little more things to kind of prime its pump, as it were. But I'll start off, since I sort of gave this to you two about a few minutes ago. So now you can think of something.
Yeah. Oh no. No hopes, no dreams. No dreams only.
So here is my sort of easy projection of predictions, and it's a little bit of hopes and dreams. We'll do hopes and dreams in the second round. Is I think that there will be much evolution of the platform engineering idea, because I think to go over it slightly, I think it more or less it was kicked off long ago when Spotify several years ago released its Backstage thing and started developing this notion of an internal developer platform, which is really just, to put it in a brief, snarky way, an evolution of the Atlassian portfolio with a few more things. But it does seem like primed to kind of like replace that. I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's a question I was asking one of my analyst friends who covers software development, Bola, in a Twitter thing, is like, maybe I wasn't this direct, but I was like, shouldn't Atlassian be doing this? So I don't know. We'll find out. But I think just, as far as like an internal portal or collaboration thing for developers, it's really evolved into sort of like, here's like a framework or a platform, if you will, for building like, this is not the right thing. So this is the other thing, is we need language for this, but the single pane of glass that developers would use for existing in their inner developer community, right? In other words, the internet that developers use, but behind their own firewall. And there's all sorts of stuff going on there. Plus, you bring in all of the stuff of actually running the platform, which I'm still not quite sure if that's part of platform engineering as we know it nowadays, or if that's what the site reliability engineering people do. We've got to sort that out, right? Because I feel like I should go back and talk to the people in our community who have been doing this, excuse me, for a while, and see if they have time to actually run and troubleshoot the platform while they're treating their developers as customers and building their stuff. I kind of suspect that's a lot to ask for one team, but we'll see. Of course, unless they're using Cloud Foundry available in the Tanzu application service, in which case they can eliminate the need to run a lot of their stuff. Hopefully, that will be the case with the Tanzu application platform as well, especially now that there is a Cloud Foundry-like interface on top of it. But whatever, we'll see how that evolves. But yeah, I think there's enough interest in platform engineering now, and I think people are over the hump of like getting Kubernetes up and running, that like hopefully finally will coast back into the developer sort of layer of the stack and see how that goes. So, I think the way to test this out will be if, well, one, that idea is used more, but whenever the next round of talking about platform engineering comes, whether it's the conference that Humanitech puts on, or just kind of at DevOps days or in conferences, there should be a lot more talks from like big end users about what they've been doing there. So that's my one prediction. How about Ed?
I was just saying, so I can paraphrase your prediction, Ken. It's not the same as last year. We are indeed going back to 2000-ish. So we need a developer intranet, and developers and ops are going to go back to being developers and ops. Am I right there? We're sort of undoing everything, right? We put stuff in, and now we're like, you know what? We do need operations teams as operations teams, whatever we call them. And
so,
yes, but it can do more than the web one did.
That would be a great panel. Maybe we should, I people don't like the word webinar, but what are you going to do? That maybe I should propose like a webinar panel. We can bring maybe some not outsiders, whatever, but maybe it could only be VMware people, and we'll say like, so is Dev and Ops going to be separate, or we should say, practically speaking, are Dev and Ops as we know it actually separate? And that would be the whole prompt, right? Because of course you've got to have like 30 minutes of setting up context and nuance, and it depends and all of that, which we can maybe just edit out of the recording, because that stuff's always boring. But it is, I think that is a question that largely has been unresolved. There was that time, y'all must remember, when would this have been? Maybe even 5 or 4 years ago, when Gartner came out with its bimodal IT thing, and the DevOps people just freaked out. Like that was the last time I think we were allowed to ponder this question. But then the DevOps people came in and just like carpet bombed that whole notion, and you're not really allowed to think about it anymore, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I think good summary. Now, what do you think? What's your prediction for 2023, Ed?
Which I've had to think on the fly. So I don't have any great predictions. Other than let's go with it will be the year of Edge. I'm actually not convinced it will be in a way, but
oh, that's good.
Sneaking ever nearer. It's a bit like the year of the desktop, isn't it, or the year of Linux, or whatever it's going to be, sort of thing. Linux on the desktop. Edge has been talked about for what, probably 6-7 years at least, as that was going to be the inflection away from centralized clouds, hyperscalers having everything on cloud. Actually, Edge meant it was going to go back towards some on-prem, some more distributed cloud. And now there's cloud, all these different things. But I haven't seen a huge amount of it in a way. Lots of people had Edge and then it kind of went away. Then people have tried to get their taxonomies of what Edge is, thin Edge, thick Edge, all these different bits. And you are starting to see sort of more products, especially in the Kubernetes area, lightweight versions of Kubernetes and things. But it still doesn't feel like it's gone as sort of mainstream as everyone said it would. Maybe that's just me, right? I'm sitting in a vendor. I'm not out there in factories and retail. I know it's all there. But I still just haven't quite seen it as the big thing it was meant to be. I wonder if I'm talking about it 5 years from now.
I like that, because I think, using my funny thing of what's going to happen next year is more of what happened this year. Like, I feel like this past year, and you probably read about it more than I do, but I finally have figured out that Edge isn't just some goofy marketing thing. And to personify it, I think that Edge has figured that out. Right? Like my sense is that there was a long time where Edge was like part of the like 5G PR initiative, right? And then maybe like cars or something. But then I think what happened is there's an old category that when I was at Dell, we would delightfully call Robo, which was remote office, branch office. And I think maybe that's been pulled into Edge. And then we have a few use cases, like I think, well, I don't know if it's named or not, even though it's a named customer of ours, so I won't name them. But there are certain, as they say, logistics companies that use Edge stuff in warehouses, right? And so like, I think there is an appreciation of Edge. Like, I think Kelsey Hightower had a tweet that like, Edge just is a new word for private cloud or whatever. But I think maybe what it means is like small, not public cloud, like, which is fine, right? Like, it's totally cool. Like, and I think how I came to accept this category of Edge of not being just some goofy thing is that like there is a category of like a small data center, whether it's in a car or like a office, that is something. Right? Like and if you run it in a cloud native style, it's different than just older systems. It's probably worth thinking of that as a category because it probably has its own unique needs and constraints, and therefore, pardon another marketing term, solutions that it requires. That's my recap of your prediction.
There we go. That's fair enough. So more of it, and still no clear. Is it the year of Edge or not? No, year of a bit more of it.
Yeah, Edge reach escape velocity. Edge escape jumps over the edge.
Yes. Edge.
Now that you don't want to jump over the edge because that implies you fall down. I don't know. How about yourself, Ben? What's a prediction for next year?
I want to riff on what you were talking about. Really, I think consolidation is my prediction, and what I'm hoping will get consolidated is the various aspects of things that have gone before. So we had the whole platform as a product thing, and I think the consolidation that I'm hopeful about is that developers, security, and ops do kind of coalesce around a sort of platform, a common way of doing things. That's why I'm so invested in the Tanzu application platform, because I really believe in that vision. And I think that we're starting to see the sort of the roots of that in more discussion of platform engineering. So, having developers being able to use a single pane of glass based around Backstage, which everybody seems to really like. I really like it. I'm looking forward to learning more about it. Also having supply chains in the mix, I think that's really useful as well. So we can try and cut back on some of the sprawl that we've seen around things like build pipelines, but also add in there the extra stuff that is required around security as well. So sort of having DevSecOps, but as part of platform engineering and where it's consolidated and unified around a vision of the world that helps folks to just get stuff done more easily. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I think next year will be a really good year for that sort of stuff. I think it will hopefully accelerate, and we'll pick up some pace, and we'll also pick up some folks who share that vision as well.
I like that. I think there's a common thread in our three things, if I can try to common thread it, if that's a verb, and that is like, boy, can we stop the analysis and just build the stack? Right? Like in the sense of like, there's all these different components or definition of what Edge is. And like, it'd be nice to try to hop over to use the diffusion of innovation, Gartner hype cycle thing. Like, let's use the upward, ramp to just get to that plateau of productivity and just start working on stuff rather than spending all this time sorting out what works and doesn't work. And I had to say, Ben, as maybe your it's not our fiscal year isn't over yet, but calendar year 2022 performance review. I think you've been doing a great job, Ben, like just finding all these little parts of our stack and big parts and making educational videos about them. I think it's nice. Like the Backstage one recently was impressive. I can tell you spent a lot of time on that because, like me, it didn't take you 2 hours to explain 10 different things and demo it. It was well thought out.
And the reality was that there weren't many hours spent on that because I was filling for someone else.
That's the best way to do it then.
So I got sort of it was a very deep end sort of thing. But I have only scratched the surface there, and I am really looking forward to going deeper. Just before we started talking on this show, I was working on with someone else on a script of some videos that they're going to produce around Backstage, and there's so much more to say about it. I only scratched the surface in that last video, so I'm looking forward to doing more of that for sure.
Yeah. I've learned over the last 20 odd years, I should never promise anything that I'm going to do in the future. That's always terrible. But like, I think it'll be good to get some more Backstage talk on this, because I think it is like, a good platform for building stuff out. Or, you know what? I don't even know if it's technically good. I'll have to take people's words, but it seems to be what people want to do, which is, as someone who only makes slides, that's what I care about. So that's we have that. All right. So as promised, let's check in with our friend ChatGPT and see what their prediction for the year is. Now, part of the prompting that I did is I said, it could use some forecasting from Forrester and Gartner about things. And as is a good disclaimer with all ChatGPT things, I did not actually go fact check any facts that it's included. So it could have totally made this up. But, maybe you probably have a sense for this stuff, Ed. Maybe you can do some casual fact checking. Now, in his prediction piece, it wrote, that obligatory first paragraph of just nonsense, which is good job for it. But let's go to it. I like its little style here. First, let's talk about the cloud. According to recent forecasts from Gartner and Forrester, the global cloud market is set to continue its rapid growth, with spending on cloud services expected to exceed $500 billion by 2023. Again, I don't know if that's true or not. This growth is driven by a number of factors, including the increasing popularity of cloud-based collaboration and productivity tools, the rise of remote work, and growing demand for cloud-based data analytics and machine learning. I still don't know what it's predicting. CEOs at large organizations must be prepared for this continual growth in cloud and must consider how they can take advantage of it to improve their own operations. Additionally, they must consider investing in cloud-based data analytics, and machine learning. So it really hasn't made a prediction. It's just saying what you should do. And I must say, however, the accuracy of this prediction, I think, according to our rule, is probably 100%, because this is basically what you should have done last year as well. So I think this is, I used to write essays like this in high school, and I would get a solid B+, because the notes from the teacher would say, very well reasoned, but this was not what I asked you to do. So we'll give this prediction a B+. All right, well, so the next round is the old hopes and dreams, which I have learned when you write a predictions piece. This is what you actually need to kind of weasel your way into writing, because no one wants to predict stuff. You just want to tell people what your hopes and dreams are. And I think my hopes and dreams for our space is, I've already alluded to a little bit, but I think it would be great. And I'm coasting off what you were saying here a little bit, Ben, but I think it would be great if we started to standardize a lot of the stuff in the stack, right? And what we've seen, I believe, is that all the container-based stuff and the infrastructure layer for people who care about applications development, I don't think there was a vote or anything taken, but everyone's basically yeah, we're going to use Kubernetes for that. And even if it's not the case, last I checked, I think estimates about the total number of workloads that are running on Kubernetes is something 10 or 15%. I guess it depends how you count it. If you're counting sheer processes, it might look different than if you count applications. Who knows? But for example, I saw an estimate from IDC that there's 500 million legacy applications running in the world. So I assume there's at least 500 million applications that are not running in Kubernetes. I don't know. My point being that it seems like people have agreed that Kubernetes is the way of the future. However, I don't think there's much consolidation about what the overall platform looks like, nor even what the language that we use is. So it'd be great if there was further just we're just going to use this way of doing stuff, instead of kind of debating a bunch of different things for it. Even having the language of what we would call application lifecycle management or the software delivery lifecycle, whatever all those tools are. I really hope it's not going to be internal developer portal, because not only does that sound horrendously boring, but it has the word portal in it, which is just I don't know. I've made this joke before, but I think if whoever is using the word portal clearly didn't live through Java enterprise stuff in the 2000s, because you would never use the word portal again after that. It just, I don't even like to say it.
Or maybe the video gamers though, Kote, Portal, amazing video game, right?
Okay. I guess maybe since the days of J2EE, there has been a deep cultural acceptance of sci-fi, time travel, and fantasy nerd culture. It's gone mainstream, and so maybe the word portal now has very positive associations to it because it's like a portal into fun and enjoyment and even culture. And so I'm just the old here.
No, it's just the game. That was the only good bit.
Yeah, Doctor Strange would be hella boring without portals, right?
That's true. And that you know, I think that Spider-Man movie with the time travel and the dimensions, that was pretty good.
Yeah,
and that involved a lot of portals.
So portals are good, just not in the actual IT world.
Yeah. All right. Well, how about yourself, Ed? What's your hopes and dreams for calendar year 2023?
Funnily enough, I was thinking along very similar lines because I was going to say I just want to be able to push a button and have everything work. You know, I'm kind of fed up in a way of I do bits of hands-on work, and it's like I've got to configure this or that, install this, and there's just tons and tons of it. And occasionally, especially when you want to get your marketing and your slides done, right, which I always do as well, it's like this is just a chore. This is a pain, and there's 8 different versions of that I want to try out and learn, and I can't. So I was like, I just kind of want that to get simpler. But on the other side, I then thought actually I would get bored if that happened. I've actually loved the last few years because there was a point when I did get very bored of IT. I mean, we're going back 20 years or something, so probably pre-vSphere and things in a way, but it was like, hey, there's another version of Windows, whatever. There's another version that, no. There was no excitement at all, you know.
Another smooth upgrade. How boring.
Yeah, exactly. But actually, you know, the last, whatever it's been, 5-6 years, more than that in a way, there was suddenly a load of new stuff, and the whole cloud native thing, at least for me, has been a really good journey of learning new technologies. There's a wealth of stuff. There's always more to learn, but it got me more engaged again. Now it's platform engineering, and there's a whole layer that goes on top. So once you scratch that little itch of I need to know about Kubernetes, it's like a Mandelbrot set. There's an infinite amount to learn. And my kind of geek brain likes that. I like having new stuff. I can go, what's all that area over there? And it distracts me from my work, even though it kind of is work. So I could spend weeks learning about Backstage when actually I need to know the top 10 things, and that might be it. But so yeah, my hopes and dreams, I suppose, more of the complexity, but I don't get fired for not doing the right things.
That's yeah. I like that last part. That's always that's my constant hope and dream. Always. Well, you're reminding me of like, I don't know if it's a theory, but this thought that I have in the back of my head. And since in your area you week to week cover closely everything that's going on in the cloud native space, and you're evolving the theory I have in my head, and this line of thought is that it's kind of impossible to cover like the cloud native space because you can't just like spin up your own lab to actually like compare and contrast different cloud stuff. Like if you were, it wouldn't be economically feasible to compare the different Kubernetes distros for private or edge. Like how would you even do that, right? And therefore it's just like the way that, for example, analysts and others cover that stuff is, I mean, the first word that popped in my head was fraught, but it's really hard. Like all you can go off is like your intuition and what people have told you. Like, I don't know. It's different than like testing out word processors, right? And however, what you're saying does get me thinking that like this is an area where public cloud theoretically could be different because that's the whole point of public cloud is you can do that like very easily. And so it almost makes it extremely difficult to compare public cloud to like private cloud native stuff. Because a lot of the times if you are like, I got to write this report, it's got to be out in like 3 days or a week. And it's going to take me that long. I mean, like, and that means that I need to basically test the stuff out in a day because then I got to think about how to write the stuff up. Then I need several rounds of edits. Then it's got to go into like FrameMaker to do the formatting. And then I got to do the final proofing. And so like, I basically have a day to test this stuff out and you can't do that. So it's, I don't know, difficult.
I mean, AWS probably have 120 releases a day. It's just infeasible to keep up with one, let alone 3, 6, 10, 100 different companies releasing things, different projects, which is great, right? That's what keeps my brain going. But it's getting very hard to do. It's sort of a very noisy environment compared to previously. You kind of just knew it's 3 main options and the rest irrelevant.
That's right. Yeah. So Ben, when when you're not experiencing a smooth upgrade, what are your hopes and dreams for the coming year?
Uh, I I really hope this is the year of the Linux desktop.
Oh,
Specifically, GNOME desktop.
oh, wow, going deep.
I'm going deep. So I've been using Linux GNOME for a long time now. It must be like nearly 2 years or so. So I've done the trifecta. I've done the Windows, I've done Mac OS, and now I'm on Linux, GNOME desktop with Fedora. Hat tip to our friends with the red hats for creating that, and I love it, right? And the reason I love it is because I think every developer should experience it. And the reason I say that is because the GNOME desktop is so productive. It's ridiculous. It's much more productive than Mac desktop. It's much more productive than Windows desktop. And you get access to all the tools that are already running 99% of the cloud. So why you would come out of that ecosystem for the sake of a desktop baffles me. You might as well give it a try. So if you haven't tried it, please go and try it. Give it a try next year. Make it your New Year's resolution to give GNOME desktop a try, because it's very, very, very productive. And I think as we care about developer productivity, we should also care about which desktop environment they're using and not having to jump through as many hoops to do their work. So try it. I think you'll like it.
That's a good one. I like that. You know what? I think about this every now and then. I used to use, I don't remember which windowing manager, but some X Windows thing way back when. And the number one thing, at least that I remember that I miss, is you could set up the exact layout, like pixel perfect, of all your windows and like save that. And then basically, like, you know, every time you would start again, it would just like open up all your windows exactly where you wanted them. And I don't know, maybe there's a way to do that on the Mac, but like it's definitely not built into the system as far as I could tell, let alone like some text file I could just move around and putter with. But
yeah,
that was good stuff.
If you want to revisit those heady days, Kote, then you could try, I think there's a Fedora spin with the i3 window managing desktop in there. So there's no regular desktops, just i3 window manager. And you get exactly, I think, what you're describing. So, yeah, you could relive those heady days. For me, that would probably mean going back to when I had hair. I'm not sure I want to do that.
A different type of heady day.
Yeah. Hair was a faff. I seem to remember paying people to cut it. I seem to remember having to style it into various different shapes. Usually laboring under the, idea that somehow it made me more attractive. I don't think that was ultimately true. But so, yeah. I think, you could definitely go and revisit those heady days if you wanted to. But I love GNOME Desktop, and I think folks should try it. I really do. I think it's cool.
Well, I don't mean this to be an ad, but it's just because I was catching up with my old friend Barton George yesterday. But have you ever checked out the Dell developer laptop that like ships with the Ubuntu? What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. And Dell are not the only ones who do that now. You can buy laptops that way from HP and Lenovo as well. So they'll come ready shipped with some sort of flavor of Linux on there. Usually Ubuntu. 22 Ubuntu uses GNOME Desktop. So
okay, good.
You'll get exactly that experience. So
yeah,
I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
I'll say my last experience with Linux Desktop, which is going back quite a long way, and the difference is probably I wasn't a developer, so I was tinkering and learning it and all that, it was the least productive thing I'd ever done, purely because it let you tweak everything. And, I remember times of having to figure out your monitor stats and fine-tune all the various parameters to get your screen looking right. But you could spend weeks tailoring either the UI, swapping everything in and out, trying to make this thing look nice or it didn't make any difference in the end. So I just went, I'll pick one of them. I'll have a Mac or a Windows or whatever. But that was because I probably wasn't doing much with it. I was playing with it and learning it and configuring it back when Linux needed that. And everything else, you just installed it and it worked.
I think it's like a lot of these tools, like the AI stuff now, where you're like, this tool is going to make me so productive once I stop figuring out how to be productive with it. Like,
too many needles and bells and whistles, none of which I actually needed or did anything useful with. They were just good distractions.
I think Linux ties together all the threads of everything we've talked about today. You know, if you're going to be on edge, then you might be familiar with like a Raspberry Pi device or something like that. Linux desktop, right? If you want to run your like Raspberry Pi with a Linux desktop, you can. You can even get that shipped with Ubuntu or Fedora as well, or just use the regular Raspbian.
you know, you're solidifying something that I've had in the back of my head, Ben, which is you are a Linux fan. Like in fact, I think I only know, well, no, you're the only surviving Linux fan, desktop Linux fan that I know. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's delightful. You still use, there's probably some people on my developer relations team who actually are, I just don't know of it. So, whereas I know about you, you should do some videos going over Linux desktop stuff. That'd be great.
Maybe I should. And maybe for any of Kote's friends who know him who are on Linux desktop, just drop him a line and remind him,
I'd love that.
Who you are.
Deluge.
Yeah. So that he can put names to faces and all that. But,
well, you know, maybe I should have Barton on here because I actually have like a unexpected history in the Linux desktop stuff. Like way back in 2010, I was one of the 3 people who was like running the internal innovation like thing at Dell, and that Dell developer laptop was the main thing that we selected and funded to launch, and that Barton there launched with everyone else. And the whole premise of it was that when I started working at Dell in 2010, like the number one thing people would tweet at me or write at me is like, "Oh, can you get them to finally like make a Linux desktop that I can just order?" And then that's what we did. It was there was a fun like. It was also a good lesson in the idea of doing lean startup stuff, which is to say, don't presume to know what features you should have in your software, because we had one big feature that was actually inspired by Pivotal Labs at the time that we spent a lot of time on that turned out to be just a total dud that we should have done more incrementally, but whatever. I want to have him on here to kind of go over like how do you do internal innovation at a big company. I think would be a fun discussion for him. Well, I was scrolling through. I didn't ask our friend ChatGPT to do a hopes and dreams thing, but I remember that I gave him a prompt to do a unexpected. You know when you write an essay, Ed and Ben, it's one of the things they teach you in intermediate rhetoric is that it's fun to put an unexpected surprise in the conclusion. Something that is related to or unrelated to the topic that you went over that's a little delight at the end. And so I frequently try to do that in my writing, and I prompted it to do something. And so here's your unexpected thing at the end from our friend ChatGTP, which is, as an unexpected bonus, here's a hangover cure for all those New Year's Eve celebrations. Try drinking a glass of water before bed, and then another one when you wake up. This can help to rehydrate your body and flush out the toxins that cause the symptoms of a hangover. Additionally, eating a small meal before bed, such as toast or crackers, can help to absorb the alcohol and prevent your blood sugar from dropping too low. Now, I did not fact check this. But this is just what the AI generated as a delightful. Maybe this is a hope and dream at the end.
I think
dreams summed up as don't drink too much.
Yes.
I think there's only one way to fact check this, Kote. I think immediately after this recording, we should all go and get a bottle of hard liquor and hit it real hard, and then try some toast and crackers, a glass of water, and a snooze, and see what happens.
Some toast and crackers. Oh, man. Well.
Last one to sober up is the loser.
Yeah. How are you managing that observability there, Ben? What metrics are we using to check the hangover strength? Or
I think we'll do what US cops do, make you walk outside in a straight line and then touching your nose and all that sort of stuff, closing your eyes and trying to grab something, all that kind of thing.
Yeah,
podcast. We all get drunk, then do a podcast, allegedly having had degrees of crackers and water, and the voters, the viewers can decide who is the most sober.
Maybe that I wouldn't be able to do this, but maybe for the more technical listeners, the drunk test is to see if you can, from scratch, deploy an application to Kubernetes. And if you can successfully do it, maybe you're not inebriated. Now, if you can't successfully do it and you are inebriated, usability is high. They've done a great job on that there.
Well, not to brag too much, but if we're allowed to use the Tanzu application platform, I'm pretty sure I could do that.
That's right. The Tanzu application platform is like, instead of driving your car home, you just you take the tube or the bus or whatever public transportation you have available.
Tanzu alcoholic platform. And that is not an official marketing name.
No.
Take a rowboat.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Well. Speaking of that, I think this will be the. I don't think I'll come up with any bonus episodes to sneak into the feed, but this will be the last episode for the year. I think it's been great, you two, kind of rebooting this podcast finally. It's fun. I think I am now the disorganized one who scrambles and does things at the last minute, has to reschedule. You two are very reliable and professional about it, and which is what I always treasure in a podcast host. So I appreciate the work in rebooting it here, and we'll be back next year with more news on more or less a weekly basis, and like I was saying, kind of interviews in the overall cloud native space and things like that. And hopefully all y'all listeners will have and people who view it will have a nice rest of the end of the year, a good relaxing time. What I like about this time of year, not to be all boasty or whatever, but like this I feel like is the one time of year where you can be guilt-free about goofing off. You don't really have anything in the back of your head of like, even though this is the sanctioned, I deserve it time where I have vacation, no one else is thinking about work, so I don't really need to either. There's everyone can just take a break, which is relaxing. Of course, those of us who are parents, we still have that to put up with. But at least we don't have to worry about the work area. So have a good time. And if you want to get the show notes for this, you can go to tanzutalk.com and you should subscribe to it. And the great thing, if you're of the cultures that gift things to people during this time, before you gift it to them or after, you should get their device and subscribe it to this podcast. Whether they listen to it or not is inconsequential to the gift you will be giving us of driving more downloads. And you could also, whenever you're sending out your automated gift things, tell them, oh, and by the way, you should subscribe to the Tanzu Talk podcast. It'll be delightful. That's the gift you can give to people that we gift to you for gifting. And with that, we'll see everyone next year. Bye-bye.
Bye all.
Bye.
All right, well, we're still broadcasting. Let's see. We had a few comments just saying hi. So and
I think if folks are thinking about Christmas gifts, they could perhaps give a Steam Deck, also a Linux desktop, or something like that.
You either need a new camera or new broadband, one or the other. You've turned into the talking circle again.
Yeah, my Linux desktop seems to have my browser seems to have lost the connection to the camera. The camera's still here doing its thing, but the browser's lost connection. So
well,
let me restart the window.
Got to go find some drivers and recompile the kernel.
Some open source drivers somewhere that may or may not work.
Things like that. Yeah, I think that would be fun. Is Ben coming back in? What's going on here? Oh, I'll add him to the stream. All right, there you are.
Because he can, right? It's modular. He can start every little piece.
Well, I was going to say as the last thing while we're still broadcasting here, Ben, I think we should. What you should do. I don't quite understand how TikTok has business value to folks like ourselves. I think TikTok is purely like a brand booster. But I think you should spend some time thinking about, you should have your own YouTube channel just talking about Linux desktop stuff. I think that would be. I think your style of talking about that would be great, and you understand the mechanics of all this. You could do a bunch of shorts. You know how to. Did you know you can tell your desktop exactly where to put Windows? I don't even know what the big deal with Linux desktops is nowadays, and that would be delightful. I'd watch that.
Yeah, the window managers, the I find them a bit tricky because you have to know sort of all the keyboard shortcuts and stuff. Because you don't have the same advantage of being lazy.
See, that's the perfect thing for like just 60-second videos or beyond. Is like the essential keyboard shortcuts for happiness on Linux desktops. And then, of course, you can do the 10 keyboard shortcuts you didn't know existed.
Yeah. Well, the ones I use all the time are Windows left, Windows right, which just throws a window left or right.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
Window and control to switch between desktops, left and right. So you can have multiple desktops. That's handy, especially if you're recording something. So yeah, I use it a lot.
Or you could, maybe I should make one. This is like, here's a setup you should do. Is you should make it easy to start your lock screensaver. Like what I do. Here's a little Christmas gift for whoever's still watching this. I said in Mac OS you can have hot corners. Like if you put your cursor in the corner. And so I don't think this is an InfoSec problem for me to admit this, but I always set up the lower left-hand corner to instantly put on a lock screensaver. So whenever I get up from my desk, I just shove the mouse cursor down there and then the screen gets locked. It's really handy.
Well, look, let's do it. Right, I've shared my screen now. Let's do a quick one of these videos you're talking about. Let's do an extra.
Well, if we could, oh yeah. Okay, I have to look over here.
For everyone who's on YouTube, here we go. I'm doing the Linux desktop thing, so I'll get rid of it.
Oh, nice background there. Peppermints.
Exactly. Here we are in GNOME. So
here's a little fun thing for me to interject, kind of John Madden color commentary style. Until recently, I would call that flavor candy cane flavor. And I was talking to my wife, Kim. I was like, oh, yeah, it's candy cane flavor. I really like the gum that's candy cane flavor. And she looked at me for a while as she's gotten accustomed. And she said, do you mean peppermint? And so apparently there's a name for that. And it's peppermint.
I think it was always peppermint. Yeah, that suddenly happened. Oh, no. Okay, well, fair enough. It's like we sent some nice tree smell things out. These little things you can put on the tree. And we got a phone call the other day. Said these are lovely. What are they? Are they vanilla? It's like, well, the popular Christmas smell of vanilla. No, they're not vanilla. It's gingerbread. So there you go. Anyway, so here we are. This is GNOME Desktop, and what you will notice is there's nothing here. You can't get more productive than no clutter.
Oh, yes.
Right, so there's nothing here. But obviously, if I scroll up to the top here with my mouse, I can see the bar at the top, which gives me access to all the usual stuff, like, settings and things. That's all here. I can customize this. I've got a nice handy area where I can see my calendar, see the weather for today, that sort of stuff. And then if I want anything, I just press the Windows key and I can then start to search. So I can say, okay, find me, I don't know, Kdenlive, which is what I use to do all my video work.
The old, do they call those virtual desktops? I forget what they called that. That was also fun.
No, it's video editing. Video editing Kdenlive. Completely free.
Oh, no. I mean, you can do the thing where you have multiple desktops.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can go left or right like this, multiple desktops, not a problem. I can also have a sort of a more traditional view of all the different programs on the system.
Oh, look at that.
I can collect them into groups and things. It's brilliant. And then I can customize it. So I can add customizations through these extensions, like clipboard indicator, for example, which gives me all the last 10 sort of clips that I made from the clipboard.
Yeah, there's a wasted week for me looking at all those customizations.
I've got all sorts of stuff on here. There's a few bits and pieces turned off. And of course, you can get all the usual programs that you like using, like Steam, if you're a gamer, or Prism Launcher, if you want to launch Minecraft, or my favorite, Alien Isolation, which is over there. Or
you have Discord, so you could do some Midjourney AI image generation.
Exactly.
would be great.
Yeah, or Blender. If you want to do some 3D work, or Natron if you want to do some video compositing or whatever. And the software choices are huge. I've got this software store here. I've got I can go through and look for programs that I want to use for a particular task or whatever, and it takes programs from multiple sources as well. So very popular these days is Flatpak, which is a sort of it's almost like wrapping a program up as a container. So if you're used to containerization, Flatpak does a similar sort of thing for apps and applications that have GUIs, desktop stuff. So there's tons and tons of stuff available, including some favorites like Chrome or I don't know, Teams or whatever. They've all got stuff that you can use. So,
Teams has a Linux desktop thing?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. Huh.
Yes. I think if I do a quick search for it.
So Ben, I'm curious, is this a kind of a VMware supplied image? Like last time I got a laptop, you just picked one off the catalog and you tended to, you could go Mac or Windows. Do they support the Linux thing, or is it a DIY job?
No, this is not VMware supported, so it's a bring your own device sort of thing. But I've got to say, sorry VMware, but that's because we're laggards, right? GitLab, for example, they don't allow any Windows desktops. That you can only choose between a Linux desktop or a Mac OS desktop. They don't allow any Windows, and you can see that in their online HR manual, right?
Yeah.
So, HR manual. So we're perhaps a bit behind in our own support of Linux desktop, but I understand that's something that we can improve and that we will improve as well, and it doesn't stop me doing my work. I can still log into stuff that's behind the firewall. I've got a YubiKey here which speeds the login process, and I can use a VPN as well. So yeah, it doesn't stop me doing anything. Let's put it that way.
Wait, we should talk about that offline, but that'd be great to use a YubiKey instead of that other two-factor thing we have. That'd be delightful.
Yeah. Do you need to use that much? Because you're on a Mac desktop, right?
I don't know. I got to go figure it out.
Well,
here, see, you got to start a series of stuff like this. I think it would be great. And here's, as you were going through that, I was thinking like maybe this could be, a funny, as they say in the podcast world, a bit. But like kind of like a jokey thing that you do is like you do these videos as if all the other operating systems don't exist and people are coming to it from the first time. So you're like, there's a great windowing system on computers. If so far we're only used to the command line, but I want to introduce you to the GUI. And there's so many interesting things that you can do now with the GUI. And, so it's just like, it's as if you've introduced GUIs to people for the first time and you're going over all the powerful things they can do. And
I should do it fully retro. I should also wear very large collars. And
that would be nice.
And a big fat tie and, the flared trousers and all that sort of thing as well.
Whiteboard, Open University style.
Yeah. And maybe allow my nose hair to grow. In that old style as well, that old-fashioned, comfortable style.
The comfortable style. All right. Well, we'll wrap up. We'll wrap up here.
Rascally Wabbits.
For those who enjoyed our bonus material of a introductory look at the GNOME desktop, thanks for watching along, and we'll see everyone next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.